50% and a passer rating in the 70s. That's a backup in the NFL. J.J. McCarthy in the first three quarters, unwatchable. A 34 passer rating. Looked terrified. In the fourth quarter, 6 of 8, 101 passer rating. My takeaway, the further the Bears' Caleb Williams got off script, the worse it got. The more J.J. McCarthy could play loose, intuitive football, the better it got. So don't be afraid to have a strong opinion after one game. Caleb on script, velocity, horsepower, he can move on script, look comfortable and daring and good. But that opening drive in the third quarter, you could watch Ben Johnson, who was visibly frustrated with his lack of accuracy. There were also 4 false starts, 12 total Chicago penalties, 8 on the offense. So, and he was missing badly with open receivers. So, I mean, I think he's talented enough to beat bad teams and mediocre coordinators, but that's not his division. And he was 1-5 against his division last year, the only win when the Packers rested starters. So there, you can't watch that game and not be a little unsettled. Off script, it looks like USC Caleb Williams. Wow, he's talented. And so was Cam Newton. And in 11 seasons, Cam Newton had 3 winning seasons.
Okay. I don't know if comparing Cam Newton is the right call because people think Cam Newton's an absolute monster. Okay. Listen. This is exactly what I said for weeks going into the season, where I talked about how I was like, I know Caleb Williams can be great on script. I was like, I expect Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams, when they're on these scripted plays, they're going to have a lot of success. I mean, I said that, right? That's why I said, like, even in the preseason games, when you're going for a drive or two, I was like, I expect that to go well. I expect that. I said, when I want to see what Caleb looks like with Ben Johnson once you're beyond the script, you know, when you're in the second half, third quarter, fourth quarter, et cetera, et cetera. And it wasn't great. It wasn't great. Even on script, he was still missing bigger plays, bigger throws, which Troy, we're so lucky that Troy Aikman was there, because Troy Aikman was putting it out perfectly. And Troy Aikman actually talked about 25 plays being scripted, rather than usually a lot of people talk about kind of like the first 15. So I found that actually pretty interesting, actually. But in terms of, you know, calling Caleb Williams now like a backup quarterback, again, this is year 1 with Ben Johnson. Last year, there was zero development. This year now is about the development. This year now is him sitting down with Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson's like, why did you not throw to this guy? Yeah, you threw this to this guy, and this was a 5-yard pickup, but this guy was wide open. Why are your eyes over here? Why is your head over there? Why did you look him and then not, like, you start to have those conversations. And then that's when the development can start to take place. So no, we don't have to jump to any super strong opinions. We can still have an honest discussion about today, or about yesterday. But even Troy Aikman, and again, this is why I think it's great that we had Troy, because Troy Aikman has no problem calling out players and coaches throughout the games. Like, he is, I think he's the best out there with that. He has real honest conversations. He doesn't sugarcoat anything. He was saying, yeah, Caleb Williams is missing throws. He's missing throws, and Ben Johnson isn't necessarily going to like it. But despite that, I still think he's doing a really nice job, right? That's what he said. Now, again, it started to slowly more and more degrade. And it's a shame, too, because in the red zone, that's when you could see Ben Johnson, really, I mean, like, he had that one touchdown. I mean, you can't get any more wide open in the end zone. They were 2 for 2 in the red zone, and you're just like, man, like you can see the incredibly smart play calling and play design. And you could see some of the greatness of Caleb Williams, of his escapability, which is kind of funny because on the broadcast, I don't know if you saw this, he was actually holding on to the ball longer than last season, but they were saying that he was getting rid of the ball faster. And a lot of that was because of the scramble. That's why time to throw, I think, is a little bit of a misleading stat, because it factors in like all a lot of the extended scrambles rather than like the average time that you're actually just calling a hike and throwing. So I don't actually really love the time to throw stat. I think we need a little bit more of an advanced stat with regard to that. But also because I'm not so sure. The whole time to throw as well. They might consider a 5-second scramble that then leads to a sack or a run. I'm pretty sure that's factored into it as well. I'd have to try to get clarification for that. But some of his scrambles were nice. He did obviously take a couple sacks. But here's the thing also. Everybody has been praising Brian Flores' defenses, Colin himself. So it's not surprising if Caleb Williams is a little disrupted by that week 1. Also, look at all the other quarterbacks week 1. Look at all the other quarterbacks. Really only a handful of quarterbacks played awesome, where you could be like, awesome, wow. That was a really nice, clean, great, elite, whatever words you want to use. But there's an avalanche of quarterbacks where you're like, yeah, that was a week 1 game. That was a week 1. I missed some throws. A little inaccurate. Patrick Mahomes, a little inaccurate. Jaden Daniels, a little inaccurate. Justin Herbert missed a couple throws. Like, it happens. It absolutely happens. So and Caleb Williams was inaccurate. He had some throws that were inaccurate, or he just straight up had a guy open that he just decided not to throw to. But it's week 1. It's against a great defense. They had no business losing this game. They had a ton of penalties, obviously, right? Like, so again, we can tell both sides of the story here, right? We can criticize and critique that game and Caleb's performance, but we can also add some context to it. It's okay to explore both sides here. I mean, it really is. But you do have to emphasize though that like the Bears absolutely undeniably had no business losing that game. I mean, JJ McCarthy and that Vikings offense was awful in that first half. I mean, they were awful. Awful. But the Bears couldn't score. And, they had 3 points since that opening drive until those final 2 minutes when they finally scored that touchdown. And here's the thing. They lost by 3. Kick the field goal. Ben Johnson should deserve some criticism for that. But again, let's tell the whole story. The offense needed to be settled. They had multiple penalties already. JJ McCarthy was already really, really, really uncomfortable. There's no reason to go for it on 4th down. I know the receiver was open and the play was there, but it doesn't matter. That's football, man. That's all the more reason why you just take the points. Just kick the field goal. Now you're all tied up. Now it's a different game. Also, how do you not give the ball back to the Vikings with over 2 minutes to go? Instead, it's under 2 minutes. There's multiple ways to that solution. One, you didn't need the touchdown first. You could have just kicked the field goal, which would have then ensured that you got the possession back. You don't need that touchdown in that moment. We even saw the Chiefs choose to kick a field goal rather than go for the touchdown to ensure that they have a chance to get the ball back. That's the right move. And it's obviously a slightly different situation here, but that's the right move. Or if your kicker can't kick it into the back of the end zone, then you can kick it out of bounds. You take the penalty, but it doesn't matter because you just need to be able to have a chance to get the ball back. And even if even if you kick it so short and there's a way for them to get a big chunk play right before the 2 minute warning, and it still kind of sets you up where it's like they can kick a field goal. I mean, the timing won't necessarily matter. It won't exactly match up, but just humor me for this example. Like, even if they kick a field goal and you're able to get the ball back with like 50 seconds left, which again, I know the time wouldn't have necessarily made sense if that actually did happen. It's still a better scenario. So giving those penalty yards doesn't really matter because at the most, you just need the ball back. That's all you need. So, and they didn't do it. They didn't do that. So like let's have that conversation. So it's a tough one. It's a tough one. In a lot of ways, if you're a Bears fan, it's almost better that you lost, which I know sounds weird. Because if the Bears won that game, a lot of and I don't think Ben Johnson would have, but a lot of people would have overlooked some of Caleb's mistakes in that game. And I talked about this a lot, especially last year, about so much of a coach's job is to look at a play, look at a player, and when they do something and they succeed, it's like, that was great, but you still did it wrong, right? That was still the wrong play. Yeah, that was a beautiful throw. It was the wrong throw. Do not do that. Oh, you scrambled and did this, and you got the game-winning touchdown. That's awesome. I'm excited. So-and-so was wide open. Or that you got so lucky. If you think you're going to be able to, whatever it is, like, you have to figure out when something makes sense and when something doesn't. So, I don't think you need to necessarily sound the alarm, but Ben Johnson was not happy. That much is obvious. And the other thing that's really obvious is that this is not Caleb Williams' team, which is what I had said going into the season. It's Ben Johnson's team. This is absolutely undeniably Ben Johnson's team. And Caleb Williams absolutely has a short runway. I got in a lot of debates with Bears fans, and I said, Ben Johnson is here to lead the Chicago Bears to greatness, not lead Caleb Williams to greatness. That's part of it. But if Caleb Williams is not part of that plan, and he's like, nope, we're moving on from Caleb, I want someone else, then that's what happens. And it happens fast. It happens fast. Ben Johnson was not brought in for the sole reason to fix or make Caleb Williams great. His main objective is to make the Chicago Bears great. And then and underneath that is Caleb Williams, because he's the quarterback, but he's expendable. That's how it works. Think Sean Payton. Denver Broncos brought Sean Payton in to make the Denver Broncos great. And Russell Wilson was the quarterback, who they paid hundreds of millions of dollars. Couldn't make it work, and they said, yeah, I can't win. I can't win with him. And they got rid of him. It's just the way it happens, man. Just the way it happens. And I'm not saying it's happening this season. I'm not saying it's happening even next season. But I am saying that this is Ben Johnson's team. This is Ben Johnson's team. So make no mistake about it. If there continues to be games where Ben Johnson is just like, I am not getting the maximum out of my quarterback right now, I cannot win this way, then decisions do get made. But like I keep emphasizing, I don't think we have to now jump on a week 1 game right now against a great divisional opponent with a great defense. I mean, Brian Flores, they were praising Brian Flores all throughout the game. Colin thinks that he's one of the greatest coordinators out there. This is one of the, going to be a top defense, and it's week 1, and Caleb Williams has to go up against that. When you look around the league, I got all my notes covered in here of all these other teams, whether it's the Jags, whether it's the Rams, the Texans, the Titans, the Seahawks, the Colts. I mean, like, I got all of these notes all scattered all over there, and it's all littered with quarterbacks who have played great and up and down and up and down and up and down, a little bit of this and a little bit of that, So I think we can just chill. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears? Are you encouraged or disappointed by his performance? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be a part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.